Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. And it's great to see everybody here. As I was just discussing, it's great to be seen if you're watching on YouTube. There probably aren't very many of you. There aren't very many people live either. But it's still those who are here, great to have you, and always worth rejoicing. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad, page 6. And also, yes, I am using my brand new hand-painted Jerusalem painting guitar. I'm very excited about it, so showing it off. Yeah, I got the same theme going on at least, right? I think they can see it. I have the music stand kind of low on purpose, but it's all about showing off the guitar. I'll make it even lower. Page 6. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Umelo. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Umelo. All right, let's go to page 8, Or Zarua. Light is sown for the righteous. Or Zarua, la tzadik, o yishrei lev simcha. Or Zarua, la tzadik, o yishrei lev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik, o yishrei lev simcha. O yishrei lev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik, o yishrei lev simcha. O yishrei lev simcha. Romamu, page 12. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'hishtachanu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'hishtachanu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu v'har kodsho. All right. We turn to Mizmor LeDavid, page 13. Mizmor LeDavid, Havul Adonai Berim, Havul Adonai, Kavod Baos, Ay, Havul Adonai, Kevod Shemo Yishtachavu L'Adonai Be'adrat Kodesh. Adonai al hamayim el hakavod yirim. Adonai al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koach. Ay, kol Adonai ve'adar kol Adonai shover harazim. Vayshaver Adonai el arzei halvanon vayarkirem kemo egel lebado ve'esiriom kemo ben re'enim. Ay, kol Adonai kotev lavon esh. Kol Adonai yachir midbar. Yachir Adonai Bakaresh kol Adonai yechol el ayalon vayecheso ye'aron Amavu Yashava Yeshev Adonai Melech Leolam Adonai Oz Le'amo Yiten Adonai Yevarech Et Amo V'Shalom. Hey, yai, yai, nai, 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 yai, nai, 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 yai, nai, 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 yai, nai, 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 yai, nai, 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 yai, 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 nai, 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 yai, nai, 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 yai, nai, 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 nai. All right, we turn now to page 15, Lecha Dodi, using the melody that I learned in Jerusalem. A lot of Jerusalem theme going on tonight at Kehilat Congregation Kol HaNishama on Emek Raphaim Street. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelah. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelah. Shamor ve'zachor ve'dibor echad, ishvi'anu el am yuchad. Adonai echad, Shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet ve'li'ilah. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelah. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelah. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki im ekor haberacha, v'rosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelah. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelah. Bottom of 17. Yamin u'smol tifrotzi, ve'et Adonai taritzi. Al yadish ben partzi, v'nismecha v'nakila. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelah. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelah. We rise and face the entrance. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, גם בשמחה ובצור עולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי כלה, בואי כלה, lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelah. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelah. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelah. And we say to any mourners in our midst, Hamakom yinachem etchem b'tok shavlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you with all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. We may be seated. Psalm for Shabbat, page 19. Mizmor shir leyom HaShabbat, tov lehodot le'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, lezamer l'shimcha elyon, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור Shabbat tov lehodot le'Adonai ulezamer l'shimcha elyon ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. We continue silently, 19 through 20. Tzadika tamar yifrach keres balvanon yizgeh shetulim beveit Adonai bechatrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva Deshenim v'rahananim yehu lehagid Yashar Adonai tzuri velo avlatabo Adonai malach yot lavesh Lavesh Adonai ozita zaraf tikon tevel baal timot nachon kisacha me'az melamata Nasu nerot Adonai nasu nerot kolam Yisunero doch yam Mikolot mayim Mayim rabim adirim Mishpereyam Adir bamarom Adonai Erotecha ne'emnu me'od Leveitecha nava Kodesh Adonai le'orech yamim. Please rise for the call to prayer of the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai ha'mevorach Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Va'eh. We may be seated. It sounds so nice to hear a response to the call. Before we could sing, I didn't know, am I supposed to respond to myself? Let it be silent? Sort of, hear you in my head? I never knew what to do. Still don't. So good to have you. All right, 23. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bivaro ma'ariv aravim. Brayom v'layla, galeler mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, v'riyom uvein layla, v'avdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai tzvahot shemo, el chai v'kayam tamid, yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbenu kumeinu nesiach v'chukecha v'nismach v'divrei toratecha u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki im chayenu ve'orech yameinu Yomam v'layla, neke yomam v'layla. Levatcha al tasir, mimeinu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. page 25. Page 25 for the Shema. Thank you, Susan, for bringing blankets and sweatshirts for warm people. Though
anybody else need a sweatshirt?
I see Jacqueline got demoted from teacher to madricha, though. But
Her own choice. Look at your t-shirt and your sweatshirt.
All right, here we go. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavecha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol meodecha, ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi metzavecha, hayom alevavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta ba'am, v'shivtecha b'beitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, uv'shachmecha, uv'kumecha, uv'shartam leot al yadecha, v'ayulatotafot b'neinecha, uv'tavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uv'isharecha. We continue silently, 27 through 29, and Leah is here to brighten our day with her smile. Welcome. Fantastic. Welcome. Shabbat Shalom. You can move the chairs to be all together, no problem. Leman tiskaru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lehechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem emet Adonai Elohechem emet. We're on page 32. U'malchuto b'ratzon kruvin alehem v'shev b'nei Yisrael chanashira b'simcha rabah ve'amru chulam Mi chamocha ba'elim anai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Nora tehilot oseh velech Nora tehilot oseh velech Malchut v'chama uvanecha ukeyam lifnei Moshe Te'eli anu ve'ameru Adonai imloch ve'olam va'ed Baru ata Adonai ga'al Yisrael 1, 2, 3, 4 Mi'i chamocha ba'elim anai Mi'i kamocha nedar b'kodesh Nora tehilot oseh velech Nora tehilot oseh velech Nora tehilot oseh velech. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim Ushmor tziteinu L'chaim u'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam right, we're going to do a little round here. From this side of the camp, we're going to start with me. If you're on this side, you're going to come in on the round. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Lishalom, Ve'hashkivenu Malkeinu Lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Lishalom, Ve'hashkivenu Malkeinu Lechaim. All right, it looks like thank you, Josh Mailman, for, as usual, for streaming, and he probably was able to pick you up with his microphone tricks there, so we had an actual round going. Love it, love it, love it. All right, we are on, first, Baruch Atah Adonai, Praise Shalom Aleinu, V'kol Yisrael V'al Yerushalayim. Page 34, please rise, Vishamru. That's it, you got it.
That's all.
Shamru b'nei Yisrael Hashabbat La'asot et Hashabbat Ledorotam berit olam B'ni v'b'nei Yisrael Oti le'olam Oti le'olam Oti le'olam Shamru b'nei Yisrael Hashabbat La'asot et Hashabbat Ledorotam berit olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael Hashabbat La'asot et Hashabbat Ledorotam berit olam Uvayom hashvi Shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash Ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael Hashabbat La'asot et Hashabbat Ledorotam berit olam. Page 35. Yikra v'ikra shemei Rabbah V'amati vrach yirutei V'amlich malchutei B'chayechon uvyomechon Uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uvizman kari v'meru Amen Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach Le'olam ulam me'almaya yitbarach Barach v'ishtabach Varviram v'naseh v'tadar v'tale v'talal Shemei nekudesha barichu Le'la min kol bechata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma v'meru Amen. Private Amidah now. Pages 37 through 48. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha livarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. All right. Shabbat Shalom. And we're going to turn to our Matbea Tefillah, the shortened form of the Amidah, which Jacqueline Paulchik will lead us in on page 49. And practicing for next week, or are you not doing next week? I don't know if you're even doing next week. Or either you or Marshall is, but someone will be here in my place. I'll be in the Temple of Country Music in Nashville. Just right here. Yeah,
ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, קונה שמיים וארץ, מגן אבות בדברו, מחיי מתים במאמרו, האל הגדול שאין כמוהו, המניח לעמו ביום שבת קודשו, כי בם רצה להניח להם, כי בם רצה להניח להם, לפניו נעבור ביראה ופחד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד, מעין הברכות אל ההודעות אדון השלום, מקדש השבת ומברך שביעי, ומניח בדושו ליום קדושי עונג, זכר למעשה בראשית, אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו רצה ומנוחתנו, קדשנו במצוותיך ותן חלקנו בתורתך, סבינו מטובך ושמחנו בשועתך, וטהר קודשך, וינוחו בישראל, מקדש שמך, ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה, ויעמד ברכירותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכוני וימיכוני וחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ימרו. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, מעולם ועל מעמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי נקודשה. לעילם מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן בעלמא וימרו. תתקבל צלותהון ובאותהון דכל ישראל, קודם ובהון דבישמיא וימרו. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו. עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל וימרו. אמן.
Yasher Koach, and thank you, Jacqueline. All right, it's time for Silent Cal. Calvin Coolidge, we are up to. And before services tonight, Laura actually taught me something else about him and his relationship with the Jewish community, which I had not come across. So, new information. Because Silent Cal was, at least according to the preliminary research, was pretty silent when it came to the Jews too. He was from Vermont. He was part of the Congregationalist Church. He was a Republican. And kind of now, at this point, the Republican Party is moving away from anti-slavery, obviously, and becoming the party associated with big business. He finished Warren G. Harding's term. If you remember, Harding died in office. And then he was elected on his own. Now, he lost the Jewish vote overwhelmingly to the Democratic candidate, John Davis. 51% voted for Democratic John Davis, 27% voted for Coolidge, and that's because Coolidge was anti-immigration. He was very much an isolationist, and Jews wanted their brothers, sisters, parents, uncles, aunts, comrades, friends to immigrate during the pogroms, and so he was not for it. There was a third candidate too. It was not Eugene Debs, like last week, who the Jews voted for overwhelmingly. It was the progressive candidate, Robert La Follette, who was, and the Progressive Party, despite its name, was rather anti-Semitic in many of its tenets. Anyway, but he won without our vote. He rose to power eventually. He became the governor of Massachusetts. He was known as a law and order man for quelling labor riots. And he was into isolationism and American prosperity. I think a chicken in every pot was his campaign slogan. He had little contact with most Jews, but he had a couple of friends, one of which was Adolph Oakes, who was the publisher of the New York Times and actually saved the New York Times when he bought it. And he liked him. I know this is going to seem very odd with what you know of the New York Times today, but there were all kinds of editorials supporting Coolidge's tax reductions. And so Coolidge invited him to the White House, spent the night there. He was also, he was in contact with Lewis Marshall, the founder of the American Jewish Committee, who tried to convince Coolidge not to sign and renew the Johnson-Reed Immigration Act, but he failed. Nevertheless, Marshall, not believing in burning bridges, invited Coolidge to the ceremony of dedicating the cornerstone of the Washington, D.C. Jewish Community Center, at which he spoke, and he said he had some nice things to say. The Jewish faith is predominantly the faith of liberty. It is easy to understand why a people with the historic background of the Jews should thus overwhelmingly and hesitatingly have allied themselves with the cause of freedom. From earliest colonial times, America has been a new land of promise to this long persecuted race. Every inheritance of the Jewish people, every teaching of their secular history and religious experience draws them powerfully to the side of charity, liberty, and progress. To which Marshall wrote a thank you note where he said, "Your words will never be forgotten, because as I can assure you, the Jews are a grateful people. Now, Laura told me that he also took a trip or two to Hollywood, where he became friendly with Louis B. Mayer of MGM. And Goldberg too, possibly, right? And so this is when Hollywood was, starting to become big as well, and there were some business interests of Coolidge, and that's probably what the alliance was about. But so he did also know them. However, during his time, Henry Ford's anti-Semitism continued to grow. Not that he necessarily had control over it. There was a boycott of the Jewish community of Ford Motor Company, of Ford's products. And there was even a lawsuit by an Aaron Sapiro of San Francisco, and it doesn't have to do with Coolidge, but it happened during his presidency. Aaron Sapiro, which called for an apology of Ford. Ford signed it, but it claimed his signature was forged. So there's a signature of him, but it was forged. In any case, he did not seek a second elected term and died fairly peacefully 5 years later. So that's about all we got on Calvin Coolidge. In 2 weeks, we'll have Herbert Hoover. Wait, what? I'm sorry, what about Coolidge?
Claire Booth Lewis. You know
Claire
Claire Booth Lewis.
Booth Lewis. Lewis, also the publisher, right?
Yeah, the wife publisher.
Okay.
She's a great, she's an actress and quite a top comedian herself. And when Coolidge died, she said, "How do they tell?" She's silent.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat that just for the for the benefit of the 15 or so people watching. Claire Luce, when Coolidge died, said, "How can we tell?" Right? That's how silent Cal was, and perhaps ineffectual. But it was definitely a time of some prosperity. But we're going to pay for it later, I promise, as we keep following the presidents. The Depression's coming, and that's Hoover. Again, in 2 weeks, I will not be here next week. All right. We are going to we'll bless the children. A couple of them are here at least. The others, if you can get them, that's great. If not, Eyal's headed for his blessing. Ariel is very comfortable on the lap there. Leia's definitely got one. So, all right. So, come on over. And we say, for males, Yisimcha Elohim K'Ephraim v'Chi Menashe. For females, we say, Yisimech Elohim K'Sara Rivka Rachel v'Leah. For all, we say, Yivarechecha Adonai v'Yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God lift the divine face toward you and grant you peace. Amen. We rise for the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol la'tet gerula le'otzer v'reshit shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim ve'yoser aretz Moshe v'karo b'shamayim mima'al u'shchinat uzo v'gov emiromim hu Eloheinu Eidon emet malkeinu efesulato kakatu v'torato v'data hayom v'hashivota elevavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim mima'al V'ha'aretz mitachat Eidon al keneka v'elchanam. Kagatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar v'aya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad. We may be seated as we lovingly recall the memory of our departed relatives and friends whose yortsites we observe during the coming week. We're thinking especially tonight of Samuel Applebaum, Alexander Big Al Bunin, Violet Burge, Brad Cypress, Sarah Dickman, Helen Dubner, Raymond Epstein, Rita Frankel, Rebecca Garfinkel, Bernice Gleck, Rabbi Morris Goldberg, Molly Goldstein, Isaac Gordon, Abe Jacobs, Clara Kramer, Abraham Kravitz, Essie Landy, Michelle Blau-Lockie, Esther Millman, Clara Ottinger, Joseph Rabinowitz, Celia Reingold, Allegra Saporta, Harriet Solo Schaefer, Charles Slavsky, Seder Unterberger, Hattie Waxman, Shirley Wolf. And we are still the Shloshim for Dina Aronson, the wife of Steve Blazer. We also pause to remember all those who died in the condo collapse in Florida. And you know, when something like that happens, besides the tragedy, when you see who died in it, particularly in the Jewish community, you think, you know, these are people that you could have known, and you know, if it happened in California, you probably would know somebody, or at least know somebody who knew them. My son Jonah was talking to his BBOO friends in Florida. Almost all of them knew somebody, or you know, were very close to knowing somebody who died in this tragedy. The memories of all who were with us. We ask all those who are in mourning or observing yortzeit, as well as anyone else who would choose to do so, to join me in the mourner's Kaddish on page 61. Yid Gadal v'Yid Kadash Shemei Rabbah v'Alma Divrach Hirutei v'Amlich Malchutei v'Chayechon v'Yomechon v'Chayechol Beit Yisrael v'Galav Yizman Kariv v'Imru Amen Yehesh Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Olam Almaya Yid Barach v'Yishtabach Yid Ba'ar V'Yid Ramam V'Yid Naseh V'Yid Adar V'Yid Aleh V'Yid Talal Shmei Tekutcha Barichu Le'ela Min Kol Berchata V'Shirata Tush Bechata V'Nechemata Damiran V'Alma V'Imru Amen Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen Oseh Shalom B'Imruma Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen Zichronam Livracha. May the memory of the people you've come to say Kaddish for be a blessing to you always, and let us say Amen. All right, so a few announcements. We have services tomorrow, Saturday morning, 9:30. You're welcome to just show up in person. There will be an ufruf for Yagel in the sanctuary. Yeah, not here, sorry. In the sanctuary. Miguel Barajos and Yadira Silva are getting married on Sunday, right here at the synagogue. Ufruf tomorrow. We'll throw some candy at them. However, I will temper that joy because I am talking about anti-Semitism tomorrow, just so you know. Let's see, we've got our Taste of Text study. Before that, we have Minyan Monday and Thursday, 8 a.m. in the chapel. Torah study is still via Zoom. In the sanctuary. In the sanctuary, thank you. Not the chapel yet. Zoom still for Torah study. It will be starting fairly soon, live and in person, but circumstances being as they are. All right, and that's probably it. Next week, we will have different people leading the services other than me. All right, so continuing our Jerusalem theme, the closing song tonight will be Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, Jerusalem of Gold, but the English version, Hebrew in the chorus. What was that? It matches the guitar, the whole thing, you know, it's all about the Jerusalem, the theme, the talit, the guitar. All right. Written by Naomi Shemer after the reacquiring of the Jewish quarter of the Old City, looking at the Western Wall. The olive trees that stand in silence upon the hills of time, to hear the voices of the city as bells of evening chime. The shofar sounding from the temple to call the world to prayer. The shepherd pauses in the valley and peace is everywhere. Yerushalayim shel zahav, shel nechoshet v'shel or, alu lecho shirayich ani kinor. Yerushalayim shel zahav, shel nechoshet v'shel or, alu lecho shirayich ani kinor. The waterfall for those who thirsted, the ancient market square, your golden sun that lights the future for people everywhere. How many songs, how many stories the stony hills recall. Inside her heart my city carries a lonely ancient wall. Yerushalayim shel zahav, shel nechoshet v'shel or, alu lecho shirayich ani kinor. Yerushalayim shel zahav, shel nechoshet v'shel or, alu lecho shirayich ani kinor. And far away beyond the desert, 1,000 suns will glow. We shall be going to the Jordan by way of Jericho. My simple voice cannot acclaim thee, too weak the words I choose. Jerusalem, if I forget thee, my right hand its cunning lose. Yerushalayim shel zahav, v'shel nechoshet v'shel or, alu lecho shirayich ani kinor. Yerushalayim shel zahav, shel nechoshet v'shel or, alu lecho shirayich ani kinor. Shabbat Shalom.